Welcome back to the grind for another Abyss guide for the Carina's Challengers Path 3 playlist. This is going to be Abyss Howard the Duck. Now, for this fight, he starts off with indestructible charges and you remove them by using heavy attacks. So multi-hit heavy attacks are ideal because then you have to do less of them. Sometimes you can also remove them with medium attacks, but I think that's not supposed to happen, or I'm not understanding when it does happen because it doesn't happen all the time. But we're going to take a look at Diablo as well as the Void Cheese. So Diablo is actually really good for this fight. He can do a lot of poison damage. You want to use the Nullify pre-fight, which is I believe the second one. That's going to give you a bit of burst damage after your special 3, but also allow you to nullify buffs that he's triggering to feed you more power. So you just start off with lots of heavy attacks, and I'm building up my poison charges with my special 1s in the process. We're not getting any damage in, but because we're pausing the poisons, we're actually stacking up quite a bit of poisons already. And then once we get the invulnerable down, see, he actually lost one from that last medium attack. But so once we get all of them down, we're going to start dealing some nice damage. Unfortunately, all those poisons, or most of them, are falling off before we get there. But that's okay because now we're building up to our special 3, and we're automatically going to have our max of 20 after the special 3. And now you can see the last indestructible charge is gone, so we're starting to deal damage. And we're primarily going to be using heavy attacks when we can, because it's going to give us the most bang for our buck, so to speak, because we're using less of those skirmish charges, and we're getting those poisons applied from the second hit, which is a huge portion of Diablo's damage. So now we're going to bait out the special 1, and then we're going to go for a special 3. So we're going to parry first, and then we're going to launch the special 3, and we'll be able to dash in right away and start gaining power and work towards refreshing our poisons, because we have those buffs that we placed on him that we can nullify, and then we'll be able to refresh them or pause them. And I went for a pause there first. Now we're building up. We have a special 2 now, and as long as we have our Philosopher's Mix active, any buffs that do trigger on Howard the Duck are going to be nullified shortly after, so we can feed ourselves more power. Now, shortly after you do this cycle, I think it's best to start going to special 1s so that you can pause those poisons as long as possible. And it should be pretty easy to get to another special 1 within about 10 seconds, especially if Howard the Duck triggers a buff. So you can see we've done another one there, and you just dash back immediately to pause them. And you have 10 seconds from one pause to the next. So ideally you want to start this process when you have a long duration on them. So immediately once you start to see it tick down, you can throw the special 1. But unfortunately they fell off for me pretty early. So now I'm just trying to get as many built up as I can and pause them and refresh them when I can. I was able to get between 12 to 15 on numerous occasions, but then I would end up losing them, unfortunately. We were able to get over 20% in the first run. I'm not going to show the whole clip just because I don't want to waste time, but the idea is to stop at around 61% if you want to try the Void Cheese. Otherwise, you can pretty easily get 25 to 30% on a run with like a 5-star Diablo. But with Void, what you want to do is initially work on you just using heavy attacks to remove those indestructible charges and giving yourself time to build up your debuffs, and throw off your special 1 when you get the chance. And if this works out perfectly, which it doesn't for me, but there are videos of it working out perfectly, and what I mean by perfectly is you have Fear of the Void up, 2 pacifies, as well as 5 or 6 other debuffs, probably 4 or 5 at the start, because what you want to do is you want to have maximum heal reversal for when that first regen triggers, so that you can reverse enough regen so you take him all the way back down to 30%, and you need to have maximum reversal for that to happen. That way he'll trigger the second set of regen so that you can continue to reverse the regeneration as much as possible. And if done perfectly, there are videos that you can find where you'll go from 60% all the way down to 0% and finish off the fight with one long string of heal reversal. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for me, so I basically just had to repeat the process by using another champion to get him to 31% and then go in with Void again. But here we go. We're almost at the end of our indestructible charges. We have 1 left, and I'm going to remove the last one shortly before I have all the debuffs I want, because I want to do enough damage to get him to the 60%. And in hindsight, after watching it back, I realized I probably wanted to remove that indestructible charge sooner, probably shortly after the first Fear of the Void triggered, because as you'll see, we're not going to trigger that regen until the point after we already have 6 debuffs, which means yes, we're going to get some massive heal reversal right off the bat, which is beautiful, but the debuffs are gone before the regen ends, so we don't reverse a good portion of that regeneration. In fact, we missed out on reversing about half of that regen. So we did 20% damage from only reversing half of that regen. So if we had a little bit longer, it would have been better. So I think ideally you want to remove the indestructible charges at 61% when you get that first Fear of the Void up, because it is going to take some time to trigger the regen. But again, it depends on how much damage into those percentages you are already gone, because there's, you know, lots of tens of thousands of health in those percentages. So there is a little bit of luck involved there. And at this point, I'm just trying to get as much damage as I can. But ideally, basically the next step is going to be bring another champion in, take him down to about 31%, and then do the same process with Void to finish it off. So one more time, we'll show the timing of what I did for the heal reversal. Hopefully it'll help you in your run. Let me know what your thoughts are, how it went for you. Do check out the playlist for all the other fights as well as the overall guide. As always, I hope that this video and all the other videos and playlists are helpful for you to get your progress through completion or exploration of the Abyss with this challenge. Good luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.